Welcome to Language Trick for Teachers. We're going to be talking about something that happens every few months and it doesn't get enough attention, which is the end of the semester. So this is exciting. This might have been your first semester or maybe 10th, 20th. You're a veteran by now. And I wanted to make sure that we're doing all right. And also, if we aren't, hopefully this podcast will be an encouragement to you by the end. So for many ESL teachers, this can be a very bittersweet time. You can either be super excited to be done, or you're going to miss everyone and you don't want to have a break. But it's okay to have these types of emotions because some of us are introverted and some of us are not. And that is okay. So you've worked hard, you prepared your lessons, and you've encouraged your students. It can take a toll, right? It can be a lot on your plate. And on top of that, we have 50% dropout rate, right? You might have started with 12 students and you're down to maybe 6, maybe 5, 3, okay? Our level intro class is at an all-time low, but there's a lot of factors, a couple things that have happened, right? We have immigration that's really being crazy at the moment here in the United States. So we have people that signed up for classes and then all of a sudden just dropped out because it's their first semester. So how much have they invested in it, right? Our upper level students are doing a little bit better. They're a little more committed, but we've seen a dropout rate very heavily due to our level intro students. And they don't know how to study. Some of them don't know how much it takes to actually learn a language. There's that factor as well, where they're like, what? I have to study every week? Every day? And you're like, yes, this should be something that you do daily. Not just coming to class. It just doesn't magically happen. I know how it feels. It can be discouraging, especially when your program is free or maybe it's at a low registration fee, right? For us is $40. This is 2025, so that is the minimum that we can do. I would like to see it to go up a little bit so that it actually covers the entire book because books are going up again. So newsflash, Pearson is raising their prices. Apparently that happens at the end of the year sometimes. They'll raise it a couple cents. So just keep that in mind. Get your orders in before December if you can, before the prices go up. But today I want to reframe that tension that's happening, right? But instead of thinking of those who didn't make it or who did not finish, right? Because that can be very depressing seeing how many started and then how many we ended up with. We should celebrate the ones that finished, right? That would be exciting to see who did the work and who stayed and what they're accomplishing, right? This is something that we should be super excited about. All right, so this section, we're going to be talking about the reality of dropouts. In most adult ESL programs, especially if you're a nonprofit or you're something that is gifted to the community, right? In a way, you're going to see 50% dropout rate, and this is normal. This is the normal rate, all right? So I always try to beef up my classes, I'm trying to make it chunky, at 15 per class, all right? So if you're just starting out, I would just keep it at 2 classes at minimum, or maximum, and try to beef up those lower end classes. And then those who make it, they move up. Those who didn't, that's okay. You get to retake the class as many times as you want. Always keep that in mind when you are forming your classes, admin people, right? I would not put a class together less than 5 students. You're just setting yourself up for depression. Then your teachers will end up depressed. I've been in that situation and I don't like putting my teachers into that environment because it can be very discouraging. You prepare so much for the class, even if it's just reading over the lesson quickly, and then no one shows up, right? Or just one person shows up and you're like, well, should we continue the lesson or should we backtrack? Should we not continue our plan of what we're supposed to cover today? And so that can be like very upsetting from time to time. It's not you, the problem while they're dropping out. You may have thought these things, even though in the back of your mind, you're like, that's not true. But things can creep into your mind thinking like, did you say something wrong? Did you present something that upset a student emotionally, right? Or did they not like me? They prefer to go to a different program. There's so many other things that can happen emotionally that you shouldn't be thinking through. Our students are adults. If you have children, oh, that's so much easier, honestly, for attendance. They're just like, their parents tell them to go. You need to go, right? But for adults, they're balancing jobs, families, doctor's visits, and sometimes 2 or 3 shifts a day. And they're doing their best to provide for their families. And it is hard to live in a different country, especially if it's not your language, your love language. And we want to understand that we can shift from disappointment to appreciation. That is something that we can shift our minds, because the ones who stay are showing incredible commitment. Think of the ones that come every single day. I mean, every single week. Every single day that you have classes, right? And the ones who don't, they often come back when life allows them or slows down. A few things that you can put in place is having a WhatsApp group, for example, and encourage them every single week to remind them like, hey, we're still here for you. Even if you've missed 2 or 3 different classes, you can still come back, right? We ask the students to commit to 8 of the 12 classes. That's about 75% a month. They could be completely out for a month and still make it. And that is something that you can put into your program as well to promote or encourage students to come back if, let's say, September was a really rough month, but they can still finish out strong in October. And you've already planted a seed. That seed will grow when they get a promotion, when they're able to help their children with homework, or they're volunteering in the community. There's so many things that can happen because of you just helping them with that single class. Celebrate finishers. Who likes a good party? I don't know if I really like organizing them. I'm pretty good, what I've heard, but it's so stressful that I prefer someone else taking over it and I just have to show up with the dish. One of the best ways to wrap up your semester is to focus on who finished strong, who did the work. And in our programs, we keep it simple. To complete the semester, students just need to show up to 8 of the 12 classes. That's like 75%. That could be out for a whole month and they can still make it. And finish their MyEnglishLab work. That could be the workbook from Future Curriculum. This is by Pearson. Or you could tell them, here's another workbook from a different company, right? And they just have to fill it out. We don't really check the homework week to week. That just takes a lot of time. Instead, we just say, hey, just complete everything. We'll correct it. We have a grader. We have someone that checks that. But with MyEnglishLab, it's all automated, which is great, and they get 3 tries. So it's really the students trying to find the right correct answer for each of their exercises. And then they have tests too, which is great. We don't worry about deadlines or turnaround dates as long as it's done by the end. And that's good and bad. Some students will honestly just crash and burn by the end of it, which I don't encourage to. And I try to tell them, hey, you should be doing this every single week. 5 hours at a time would be great. During a week, you should be spending like 5 hours, which is like an hour a night or 30 minutes. I would not go past an hour. 2 hours is too much. And so some of them that just get everything done within 4 hours over a weekend is not the ideal, but they do get the work done. So we just check it off and we're like, cool, good job. But they get a small certificate. That's something that we always try to do. And then it pairs up with a gift. We've started to see other programs actually do recognition on the last day. And the students light up. They're like, oh my gosh, I did this. Because you can literally just put in the certificate too. If you don't have like really clear guidelines, you could just say like, I studied X amount of hours. So 10 hours this semester, 12 hours. And that's actually really good so that you can have that documented if you need to give that to immigration, for example, if they're applying for citizenship. That would be a great, easy thing to do. We like to do levels. So if they completed everything, they move up to the next level, etc. But it's just the certificate itself. It means huge amounts to the students. Building good habits is something that we try to encourage with our students. Like I mentioned, I don't really like them doing a crash and burn course, but we try to motivate them that they should be doing at least 5 hours a week of English practice outside of class. We've started to look at maybe putting a schedule together where they get to fill it out and just tell us, like, what do you do on a weekly basis? And then where can we stick that 30 minutes of study? Where can we be creative with our learning patterns, right? It could be homework. It could be Quizlet flashcards. They could be making their own flashcards if they want to go old school, right? They could talk to their children for 15 minutes, or they can listen to music and read the lyrics on Spotify. There's so many different cool things that you can do. But one thing that I have noticed is that students love to just watch YouTube videos, and then you'll ask them, well, what did you learn? And they'll just say, I watched YouTube videos. What did you learn? So there is a level of consumerism that happens that doesn't get translated into the cognitive part of the brain. And we do want to make sure that what they're learning or what they're doing is meaningful. And so guiding them and saying like, hey, you can do your homework because that's a review of what we went over in class. That can be something that's very helpful for them instead of them just watching videos all the time about grammar. But when we write things down or sketch it on a paper, this will be real, hopefully, in their minds. And hopefully it'll become a pattern that they can do. It also helps them see where English can fit into their daily lives. And those habits, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, which I encourage them. I'm like, just do 15 minutes after dinner. Like after you do the dishes, 15 minutes. That's all I ask. I don't need 30. An hour would be amazing, but honestly, 30 minutes should be your max if you are already like drained from your job. And then 2 hours is too much. Like you can't cram everything in 2 hours. Hopefully this will give them an add up to real language progress over time. And hopefully this will be daily and then continue beyond your class. The power of celebration. Teachers and students all come together. You can see how the program has grown. And instead of comparing your class to another, you can realize we're part of a bigger effort. Because, right, sometimes you have no students show up or they still show up late, in my case. And I'm just like looking at Lisa. We don't have a teacher's name Lisa, but let's say I'm looking at Lisa's class and I'm like, dang, she has a full class again. And what do I have? You start comparing yourself. And instead, when you see these big celebrations, you're like, whoa, how many are we? This is impressive. And especially if you have classes like we have it Tuesdays and Thursdays, and finally we're going to be all on one day. When you have it separated across different days and we all come together, the students realize, whoa, we are a big program. We're important. So it reminds teachers, I think, especially even if you have a smaller class, you're part of something bigger. And that's incredibly important for you as a person because then you can realize, okay, even if my attendance is not great, I am still making an impact within our program. Another thing that you may see too in these get-togethers is that students start to see that they belong. It's a family, and we have our Facebook group called ESL Tulip Grove Family. Teachers also see that the bigger picture instead of like their little class that they see every single week, and everyone leaves encouraged. I always encourage you to have a big group photo at the end before you dismiss everyone and say like, happy holidays or Merry Christmas or whatever you want to say at the end. Just have a big, big photo. And after you take a cute photo, tell everybody to put their hands up, like celebrating, like, whoa, we did it, right? You can do a silly photo too, but I feel like the ones where we're just like, hey, just put up your arm, everyone. Just say, Tulip Grove, and then we're like, whoa! We just get really excited about that. A couple other ideas for your celebration. You can have the certificates and photos. You can have a slideshow of the semester. At the moment, we don't really do that because of immigration, but once this gets settled, I'm super excited about how much we can post about our students. Having students share a short reflection or success story would be fantastic at the end or during the celebration, and then letting teachers share possibly. That is something that can happen at the get-together, and you'll be surprised how many hearts that touches. Another thing that we do that really surprises everyone, we do a booklet. And so we take everybody's writings, especially level 1 through 4. We put all their writings in, and everybody gets to read their writings at the end of the semester. It just kind of shows the accomplishment of writing or penmanship within our program, which is pretty exciting as well. Another thing that you can have is if you are a nonprofit and you're faith-based, you can always have someone come and speak. That might be close to another faith or another organization or church that would be in the immigration or that demographic that students could participate in as well. Obviously, you would like your students to be a part of your church, but if you have a larger Latino community and then you have a really great Latino church nearby, why not invite that pastor over or someone else that has a great testimony, and then that way you can have that connection as well, that there is bigger community within your little city, right, than just the church. Other ways to end well. Here are a few other things that help close your semester on a strong note. Reflection journals. Ask students to write a short paragraph. What did I learn this semester? You can also have a reflection journal at the beginning of the semester, and then they get to read what they wrote. So that can be really encouraging and fun to read. Mini presentations. Give students a few minutes to share something they're proud of. Thank you notes. Let students write one sentence of thanks to their teacher or a classmate. We did this once where we had them propped up around the Thanksgiving dinner party, and students just wrote in about their teacher, and that was really meaningful. Goal cards. Have each student write one English goal for next semester. That could be encouraging to do. You could also do this at registration. Like, what is your goal for the semester? And just post it up on a wall. And then that way, that's something that they remind themselves every time they come to class. Photo wall, print pictures, add students' quotes, and post them where everyone can see. We like to do the group photos, and then we post those on our wall that's close to the door that we enter and exit every time we have English class. These simple things turn the end of the semester into something memorable, not just something that's over. And this is something that you can also focus on, is like, what is next? What's next semester? Instead of just being like, and we're done, right? What do you want to do next semester? And this is something that can be encouraged with the students and make them look forward to what's coming. So if you're feeling tired or a little down this time of year, remember, every student who walks down into class is choosing you and choosing English. We may not contribute to their income today, but we're helping them build confidence, language, and opportunities that will pay dividends later. You're doing important work even if your classroom feels small. So celebrate what did happen this semester, celebrate growth, celebrate persistence, and celebrate community. Thank you for joining me on Language Trek for Teachers. If you'd like end of the semester certificates or any other resources, please find them at languagetrek.com. Until next time, take care, rest well, and know that what you do truly matters.